"51 days and 68 matches later, there's still so much on the line. Three teams have their fate yet to be sealed. Two of them are in action this final Sunday. Only one will make it to the playoffs. It's the final day of league stage action. It kicks off with Mumbai Indians against Sunrisers Hyderabad in Wankhede. They need to get the win there, do Mumbai Indians. They will then follow closely what happens in Bangalore when RCB hosts Gujarat Titans. And all this while, Rajasthan Royals will follow both the games and hope for both teams to slip up. So much to look forward to on this final Sunday of league stage action in IPL 2023. Welcome to Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout in the company of Deep Dasgupta and Tom Moody. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
All the calculations, all the permutations and combinations, and still so much on the line, Tom. A great endorsement for the league, as we've said a few times.
Promoter's dream, isn't it, really, how the last week has unfolded, how the whole season's unfolded, because over a long season, and the IPL is a long season, we've had not a dull moment, whether there's been a little bit of, sort of off-field behaviour that's kept us engaged for a week, or whether there's been some great finishes, whether there be a league table that looks like a Monday afternoon Mumbai's traffic, like it's just where are people fitting in and how they're fitting in, and it can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it does remind you of Google Maps every morning when you're trying to make your trek to our studios.
But having said that, I mean, listen, the cricket itself has been so good. Generally there is a dip in terms of interest or whatever halfway through. Those couple of weeks in the middle, but the cricket itself has been so good. I don't know, could be for whatever reason, impact player or whatever, but it's been close games right through the tournament.
Yes, and we know the makeup of the first playoff, which will be Gujarat against Chennai.
Yeah.
Lucknow Super Giants, who just about confirmed their ticket in a game that you had the opportunity to witness in Kolkata. They would be taking keen interest in today as well. Who do you reckon they want to face in that eliminator?
It's difficult, to be honest. And Chennai and last couple of games in Chennai, we've seen the usual Chepauk pitch. So, yeah, maybe Mumbai for that matter. Yeah, RCB, Mumbai, we're very similar kind of teams, to be honest. So, I don't think they would mind too much.
Similar kind of teams with exactly the same points, but not a similar net run rate. Let's take a look at that points table as we enter this final day of league stage action. The top three, you finally have three queues. It took until the second last day, but Chennai and Lucknow got the job done. They are confirmed in those positions as it stands. You've got Bangalore, Rajasthan and Mumbai all on 14 points. Mumbai have a bit of a net run rate job to do. There are lots of situations, lots of scenarios that come into play. So I know we've tried to steer away from them earlier, like last week or so. There was a day when I was trying to go into 5 combinations and you asked me to calm down. I'm glad you did. But I'm glad right now that Lucknow and Chennai got their wins yesterday, because that has given us a slightly simpler scenario, which we'll try and break down now for you. So what happens today? If both Mumbai and Bangalore win, both will finish on 16 points. But the net run rate gulf is so much that even if Bangalore win by 1 run, Mumbai will have needed a victory of at least 79 runs, or well, they are chasing, so a humongous margin to overturn the net run rate deficit. If they both lose, that's when Rajasthan Royals fans get interested, because Mumbai's net run rate is the worst. They will stand no chance. But if Bangalore were to lose by more than 6 runs chasing 180, or with more than 3 balls to spare defending 180, then their net run rate will slip below Rajasthan's, and Rajasthan will go through. I'm honestly so glad there weren't more combinations to read out, Tom. How much are teams looking at this going into a final day?
It's as clear as mud. It's as simple as that. And it has been like that for the last week. It's from a cricketing perspective, from a coach, player perspective, it's not something you look at and plan for. Number one priority is keeping your preparation as calm as possible, making sure you get the selection of your team right, and creating a positive environment for your team to go out there and perform. And that is number one. Once the game unfolds, you then may look at opportunities discreetly. You don't broadcast it in the dugout, oh, if we do this. You discreetly have your own little scenarios that you may sort of consider to achieve those various advantages if you get the win. But first, you've got to get the win.
Yeah.
So then does that explain why Mumbai have opted to chase as they have in this game? Because you look at that scenario card from the outside and feel like your best shot of that net run rate swing was if you batted first, but they are going by what Tom says.
So the first thing that you need to do, and the first thing in that scenario thing says Mumbai and Bangalore win. Yeah. So you take your best chance possible of winning the game, and as Tom mentioned, and if you do get an opportunity, then you see how to improve your net run rate. But as of now, both the teams just would look to get those 2 points and then not worry too much, and especially Mumbai, because RCB has that kind of an advantage because they're playing the last game. And Mumbai, they just need to win. That's about it, and just leave it at that.
You know, the other thing which is making this Sunday curious and more interesting is that Mumbai also have the weather forecast to look forward to, because presently there are chances of thunderstorms in Bangalore in the evening, which then adds another scenario, Tom.
Yeah, well, that's not a welcome outcome, and I think that would be an unfair outcome. But then again, we've already had a weather interrupted game. But when you look at the table, I don't think that has actually had an impact on Lucknow's luck in getting in there, because their net run rate is so high that they would have been in the top 4 anyway. So as it's turned out, it was seen as advantage, but they would have fallen into that position anyway.
Right. Thank you for indulging in my favorite bit of permutations and combinations.
I'm totally confused.
We'll try and make it simpler. It'll get simpler as this evening passes by. What is happening? Let's shift our attention now to the game on hand. Mumbai have elected to field in this afternoon game against Sunrisers Hyderabad. We'll bring you the teams in just a bit. I will inform you that Sunrisers have made more than a fair few changes. All right, we already have Mumbai, who are obviously with all to play for. Theirs is one swap, which is Kumar Karthikeya returning. Ritik Shawkeen had played in their last outing, which was in Lucknow, against a Lucknow who had some left-handers, but Kumar Karthikeya is back, which means Chris Jordan, who's not had the best of times, retains his spot.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that is a very curious case as well, Chris Jordan. I mean, if you look at his international numbers, they're really good. I look at Chris Jordan in his English jersey, it's just a different bowler. And every time I see him in IPL, just goes for plenty, irrespective of which franchise he plays for. It just goes for plenty. But the only change that we saw, and that's understandable. I mean, Kumar Karthikeya has been bowling well. As you mentioned, not too many left-handers in that batting 11. That just makes sense.
Yeah, the Jordan one is an interesting one. I agree with you. Yeah. The one series that he recently dominated, franchise series, was the IL T20. He was actually player of that series. Yeah. So, or player of the tournament. So that tournament saw the best of Chris Jordan, as have England. But you're right, his inconsistency in the IPL has been baffling. And they do have an alternative option. You know, Riley Meredith has played a few games. He did have a little bit of a niggle, but I believe he's recovered from that, and he would have been available for selection. So they could have opted for that. So maybe what they've done is trusted experience, trusted consistency of selection, and backed Jordan that way, which in a way I prefer that than seeing a revolving door, which we see with the team that they're playing.
Yeah. The other thing that might have gone in his favour is it's an afternoon game. The dryness of the pitch, Chris Jordan with his pace off and variations might come handy.
Yep.
Maybe that's the other thing. Yeah.
The other welcome addition, which you'll see at the bottom of the screen in that Mumbai lineup, is you see Tilak Varma back on the impact bench. He hasn't been around for a while. He returns, and in the last few matches, they've used Vishnu Vinod as that impact sub. You'd imagine Tilak Varma returns, and that batting does look stronger if he is fully fit.
Oh, yes, definitely yes, and it's good to see him back because obviously he's made a huge impact since last year. So it's good to see him back and fit, and hopefully he'll be in there. That also, that another left-hander in there. That's superb. So you've got more options of actually or rather the luxury of making sure there is a left-hand right-hand combination. Not too many teams have that.
Yeah, Sunrisers Hyderabad themselves have made quite a few changes. Aiden Markram was honest at the toss, as he was last time around as well. Wow, I'm trying to wonder where we begin. Okay, right at the top, Mayank Agarwal is back. He hasn't been around for a while. Vivrant Sharma played a few games, more as a leg spin bowling all-rounder, but he now opens. You still have the full complement of overseas batters from 3 to 6 in Markram, Klaasen, Brook and Phillips. Sanveer Singh is back. This is Hyderabad's batting 11. You do see Umran Malik return. We've spoken so much about him. He does get a game. And then on the impact bench, you see Mayank Markande, Kartik Tyagi as the realistic bowling options to come in, because Akil Hussain can't. Right, Tom, you want to try breaking down that 11 to me?
Yeah, look, I feel very sorry for those that have missed out. So if I was Abhishek Sharma, let's start from the top, I would be gutted that I'm not playing. As much as you want to have a look at Vivrant Sharma, I would be thinking, well, surely I'm part of the future of this franchise. I've got an opportunity to play on a very good batting surface against a team that's fighting for finals. I'd love to score a half century or 100 against this team and help the team win the last game. Not only from the team perspective, from my own personal perspective, but you know, to be sat out under those circumstances, I'd be feeling really disappointed if I was Abhishek Sharma. Let's move to Tripathi. I'd be devastated if I was Tripathi. He's on the verge of, you know, Indian selection. He's been in and out with a couple of opportunities. He's a dynamic player. Yes, he hasn't had his best IPL season, but there's been a lot of moving parts in that franchise, which may have led to a little bit of confusion around his role and how they want him to play. And he's a match winner. He's a serious player. He's a proven IPL player. So there's the first two. Then you've got Abdul Samad. Abdul Samad is just starting to get some confidence in a difficult role as a middle order player. Very difficult role. It's normally a mature player, seasoned player, can understand and navigate that role at 6 and 7. He's suddenly just found his feet, just starting to feel like he belongs. Now he belongs in the impact sub list. So there's 3 off the bat. One thing to welcome back is nice to see that Umran Malik is potentially going to be playing. And I think it's probably going to be from that impact sub bench Tyagi. So they're going to go in with a full pace attack with both those 2 young, promising fast bowlers. Over to you, Deep.
Right, so
I'm exhausted.
Well done.
So let me start from where you left. What are you trying to achieve by giving one game is my point.
Yeah.
You want players, especially in this format, to be fearless. So you've already put the fear of getting dropped in their head. So they're not going to play fearless. If you're saying, okay, this is the opportunity that we've given you, this is one game, you got to show us what you've got. You think he's going to play for the team? Chances are he'll look to play for himself and try and get a 50 or whatever he can. So principally, I completely disagree with this whole idea of giving opportunities for 1 game or 2 games, because if you think somebody's good enough, you've got to give him a run. And you can't expect, and especially in this format, and again, we keep talking about fearless cricket, express yourselves. You can't. You possibly can't. I mean, you got to feel for all those guys, including Vivrant. I mean, he's got 1 game, right? And you can't even prove yourself. You can't prove nothing in 1 game in this format. So it's just baffling that, you know, you've got this last game and you've given someone like Vivrant an opportunity, which is great, but then he's just got 1 game.
So the thing is that I 100% agree with what you're saying. And the thing is if you think that 1 game opportunity is going to help you determine whether you retain a player or not, you then seriously need to look at your scouting and your recruitment philosophy. Because if he has been recruited, which he has been, and they've backed him, a bit like Abhishek Sharma, he's been recruited out of the auction at a high price because they feel that he's the future of Sunrisers Hyderabad as an opening batter that can bowl left arm spin that's only going to get better at that. Why aren't you trusting, number one, your judgment at the auction table and at the scouting grounds where you're getting a Vivrant, Because Vivrant was part of the net bowlers last year at Sunrisers, and he impressed with, he bowls some handy leg break bowling, he's got a nice wrong-un, but his primary skill is a batter. He opens the batting for his domestic side. So the view was that then, well, this is a guy we need to clearly have a look at, because long term, if you've got a guy that can bat and he's a left-hander and he offers that, it's a pretty good package.
In that case, if this is one of the teams who was out of contention realistically early on, would a greater sense of clarity among the management, among the think tank, have dictated that this, what is happening in game 14, could have happened in game 12 and you get a longer look at that player in that specific role?
Yeah, absolutely. Or you continue to invest in the assets that you're trying to develop here and now. And that, to me, the people that are ahead of Vivrant, for instance, is a Samad and an Abhishek Sharma. So their position shouldn't be compromised. Maybe what they need to do is make a hard call on an overseas batter to enable the domestic batters to play, and then play Adil Rashid or Akil Hossain or depending on what they feel the best option is from their bowling overseas stocks.
One of those returning names, Mayank Agarwal. What does this game represent to him after the season he's had?
It's very difficult to understand because he opened, didn't have a good start to the season, pushed in the middle order, then got dropped. Now he's back for one game. It's so confusing to figure out what exactly is asked of him. Either you give him a run and say, you know what, sorry, we've given you 7-8 games, it didn't work out, right, we'll look at someone else. But then it does not make sense getting people back for one game or dropping them for one game. And you got to feel, I mean, yes, it has been a disappointing season for him. You were expecting Mayank Agarwal, different franchise, opening the innings. I personally was disappointed because he had a decent domestic season as well. I'm better than a decent domestic season. So disappointed with his performance. But you've also got to feel for the player, the way the players are being treated. Up and down the order, drop, playing one game here, playing another game there. I mean, it's going to be extremely challenging for a player to go through something like this. And you start doubting yourself as well. I mean, someone like Mayank, he was part of almost all 3 formats a year and a half ago. Suddenly he's out of favor as far as India is concerned, and he's trying to rebuild his career, his India career, and this happens. I shudder to think, mentally what is he going through? And he's not a young guy, he's what, 29 or
32.
something? He's 32. So these would be his last few opportunities that he's got. I mean, I seriously, I feel for someone like Mayank.
Well, for Mayank, there's no question, this is a trial.
Yeah.
He fails today, there's every chance that he'll be back in the auction on the judgment of this one game, which is pretty unfair, because he then goes into this game, as you quite rightly said, with clouded thinking, that pressure of we want you to go out there, just be yourself, express yourself. Well, I know the axe is hanging over my head if I don't actually deliver something that's got any substance to it.
So Rahul Tripathi is a great example. All through his career and this season, we've seen him play for the team. He comes out, plays fearless cricket or whatever, but he's not there now. He's done a decent job. If you're looking from him to play those impactful innings, he's done a really decent job right through the season, but he's dropped. So what sign are you sending to the other players? And talking about Mayank going to the auction, I don't think that's the worst thing for him.
Right. Confusion prevails. What I will say is I'll thank Sunrisers for a team that's been out of the contention for the playoffs. They've given us so many talking points in the last couple of games with all these decisions. But let's turn our attention now to Mumbai Indians, shall we? Because they have so much riding on it. They will bowl first, which means it could be potentially a last look at Piyush Chawla, who's had such a great season. And the obvious threat in the Sunrisers camp, Tom and Deep, is Heinrich Klaasen, the kind of form he comes in with. So for Piyush Chawla, a big challenge to take on a batter in that kind of form at the end of such a successful season.
I just want to remind you both that he was my purple cap bolter about 3 weeks ago, and
That is right.
and people did laugh at me at the time, but I'm so happy for him, not for the fact that I had him as the purple cap
But
bolter.
let's play a part though.
Yeah, well, it's got a nice little twist to it, but he's bowled beautifully. He has bowled this year as well as I think he's ever bowled in the IPL, and he's had a long, distinguished IPL career. And yes, that challenge will be intriguing. The Klaasen, Chawla and Karthikeyan, all any spin option thrown at Klaasen is intriguing because he's an absolute gun at playing spin. He's a pleasure to watch, just the way he goes about it. But I suppose Chawla will be also looking at the rest of the Sunrisers lineup with all those right-handers and thinking, oh, I don't mind this. This looks all right, this team.
Yeah.
And he might be able to add to that 20 wickets that he's already got in 13 games.
And inch closer to making your prediction come true.
Yes, you never know. He might pick up a bag.
Fair enough. No, but with Piyush, obviously, I mean, he's got a lot of experience, and this season, and I completely agree, I haven't seen him bowl as well as this in the past. What has happened is obviously he's got the skill set. Now, obviously, the experience also comes in, and he's been absolutely brilliant. One really good thing, which I've got to say that SRH has done in the last game, managed to get Klaasen at 4. And that's what you want. We've been talking about someone like Akshar Patel coming up the order. Finally, somebody has managed to get number 5 to number 4. And obviously, that was a fabulous innings. What an innings that was, yeah.
If you are in the MI camp right now, and obviously Klaasen is that potent threat, what are the bowling plans you're making, knowing how well he's handled spin?
I wouldn't be shying away from spin at all because, he, like Surya Kumar Yadav, is human. They make mistakes against all sorts of bowling. And I think once you steer away from and don't trust and back your spinners, particularly someone of Chawla's experience as well, I think it sends the wrong message. I think if it's the phase of the game that Chawla needs to be introduced, there's the other end to bowl to as well. You're not only trying to protect one end, you're trying to constantly take wickets in all 3 phases of the game. So I don't think I'd shy away from that option, but it'd be certainly something to consider whether you want to bring back one of your quick bowlers at the time. But then again, saying that, he's dealt with quick bowling pretty severely as well. Some of those pull shots that he's played off the quicks have been violent. Haven't they? They really are. They're just. He's been great. I've just loved watching him bat. He's been a pleasure to watch.
Especially against spin. I mean, his game plans. I mean, he judges the length so quickly. And obviously tries to play off the back foot as much as possible, but then he's so quick with his hands and all. But again, I guess when you're bowling against someone like Klaasen and the form that he is, you got to back your strength as well.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? This is my strength. If my strength is bowling quick and attacking the stumps, which Piyush's strength is, you're still gonna do that. I mean, good luck. If it comes off, it's great. If it doesn't, I tried my best and I backed my strength. Yeah, you don't want to move away from your strength against someone like Klaasen who's in that kind of form.
And it's not like Mumbai have got a Bumrah to bring back into the attack for an over, or a Jofra, fully fit to come back and think, oh, here's a threat. Then I can answer your question slightly differently. Then I would say I definitely would bring Bumrah back for an over or keep an over up my sleeve for Bumrah, or if I had a Rashid Khan in my lineup, I'd just say, well, okay, well, let's see what you can do to Rashid. Let's play your game against Rashid and see who wins that battle.
Right. So good luck to the Mumbai bowlers for that, which will be the big threat of the first innings. Of course, Mumbai's major threat gets activated in the second innings. Their batting, they have loved it at the Wankhede, 200 plus scores in each of their last 4 outings at this venue, chased 200 successfully thrice this season already, including 2 of them at home. And what they've done, Deep, is they have particularly bossed pace. Now you look at the lineup that Sunrisers have gone with, where they've gone with the full complement of the domestic pacers. Is that something that almost plays into Mumbai's strength in that sense?
Yeah, kind of, yes, kind of. And also a bowling attack which would be short on confidence for sure. Umran coming back after a while. If Tyagi comes in, he had an expensive last game as well. So it's not a very confident bowling unit either. And yeah, I mean, that does play into their hands. And again, they like chasing. So that's the other advantage that they have.
might have been worth considering the likes of Adil Rashid, who hasn't played in so long, or Akil Hussain, as someone to just trump the big hitters in that Mumbai lineup?
I think that definitely could have been a possibility, and leave out one of the overseas batters, and that also allows you to play another domestic batter, which I'd much rather see, whether it's a Samad or Abhishek, part of that top six, because that's your future, and the best franchises have developed strong domestic players.
Absolutely.
Simple as that. They have got strong domestic players, and if you're not playing them and exposing them and trusting them, you're never going to develop them as quickly as you need to.
Right. Almost time for the game to begin. We'll be able to build on the Mumbai batting versus Sunrisers bowling a lot better once we know the target, and when we see you at half-time. Let's quickly get predictions in. Sunrisers getting to bat for one last time this season at Wankhede. Where do you see them ending, Deep?
Oh dear Lord! With Sunrisers, you never know. I'm just looking at Klaasen, and I think he will again score some runs. I'm looking at 182.
I'm going over 200 because I look at the middle order: Markram, Klaasen, Brook, and Phillips. There's some pretty good players there, and all of them will be hungry to prove a point. So I'm going to say 207.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Can I add a layer to these predictions on this last day of League State action?
You can do what you like.
If those scores are reached, are you backing Mumbai to chase it down?
I'm going to back Mumbai to chase it down for sure.
Yes.
Right. So the range of 180 to 210, and our panel believes that Mumbai will chase it down, which will mean Mumbai will reach 16 points, and then they'll wait for RCB versus Gujarat Titans, or rain in Bangalore, which then makes life so much simpler for them.
No.
There is so much still to discuss this day, so be sure to follow the action, all the permutations and combinations, how the scenarios are getting affected. Our ball-by-ball commentary will have you covered. So download the ESPN Cricket Info mobile app off the Play Store or the App Store if you haven't already. It's been a while. And we'll see you at halftime on Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout.